taking the red pill versus the blue pill, right? It's like you realize that there's this world that people don't know about.
Welcome to the Michigan Real Estate Investor Network podcast, #the network. This is episode 4, brought to you by Michigan Investment Title.
Hi, everybody. My name is Erika. Today, we just wanted to introduce you to some of our founding members so you can know their expertise, and we're going to share the love and a little education here. So let's go around and introduce ourselves. You want to go first, Jeff?
Okay. Hi, everybody. Jeff Shipp here. I've been in real estate here now been doing it full time for about 3 years now. In with a great group of people here with this networking. Honored to be at this podcast. And about it for right now. We'll go through some of the rest of it going on.
Sounds great.
Hi, my name's Paul Beets, real estate investor. I've been at it probably less than a year now. So I'm excited to be part of the group, and it's an honor to be on this podcast.
All right, Tio.
Well, my name's Tio Bogdan. I've been in real estate for about 4 or 5 years now, doing rentals and some wholesaling and flips and stuff. So very happy to be on this podcast.
Very nice. My name is Erika. I own Michigan Investment Title. I've been in title now for 25 years. I've bought and sold a couple investment properties myself, so I think we all bring a lot to the group. And each of you specialize in a different area of investing. So, Jeff, do you want to tell us a little bit about what your investing life is like?
Right now, my investing life, of course, when you're in this, it kind of morphs a little bit. You do some things, you change, and you find kind of what you want to really get into. Lately, what I've got into and what I'm kind of honing down to is I'm doing a lot of Detroit properties, and I'm doing a lot of what's called wholesaling now. I was doing wholesaling. Now I'm breaking it down to wholesaling, which is a form.
I was going to say, you want to break it down a little bit? A lot of people don't know the difference.
Okay, let's break it down. Wholesaling is basically where you're selling the assignable contract. You get it underneath the contract, and you sell that contract to another investor or sometimes even, an end user.
So that's like a double close.
Yeah, you can do it like a double close. The wholesaling is you actually buy the property. You find the great deal, you buy it, you get it into your name, title it totally into your name, get all the, as Erika knows, get the title issues worked out. You get all that. Sometimes you clean them up a little bit, sometimes you don't. And then you just resell them. But at that point in time, because you own them, you can put it on the MLS. People can see it from out of state, out of country. And that's kind of the direction that I'm now taking. And to me, it really works in the city of Detroit especially, because you can take control of it.
That's awesome. And Paul, you actually do a lot of remote work.
That's right. Yeah. So I invest out of state right now. I haven't broken into the Michigan market. I have 3 properties in Indianapolis in various stages of the investment. The first one actually rented out here in January, and I've got one that's in rehab right now, and I actually just bought another here at the end of February that we're working on. It's just a light turn. So got 3 properties and hoping to pick up a few more here towards the end of the year.
Oh, that's great.
And so how does that work being remote? Do you have people in Indiana that help with that, or is that all on you?
No, so it's, when the education, the other podcasts you hear, a lot of people say you need a really great team to be able to do it out of state, and that's what I've got there in Indianapolis. So I've got a property manager lined up. Property manager is my eyes and ears on the ground. I have a CPA, I have attorney, I have people in the area, rehabbers that I trust, that they'll run over to properties and check them out, or they collect the rent for me. So my goal, being currently a W-2 employee here in Michigan, I try to make it as much of a passive activity as possible, right? I just want to collect the rent checks.
And market-wise, I mean, compared to Michigan, are you?
Yeah, actually, my wife and I have been looking at some properties here, and Indianapolis is a really awesome place to invest. One of the big things that we see is that the taxes on the properties are less than half of what you see here. We were just looking at a place over in Roseville, right? We just doing some research, and the numbers, if it was in Indianapolis, the taxes, the numbers would work, right? But up here, the taxes, what were they? $2,000, a year. Whereas, I was just looking at my properties last night that's under rehab. They're $500 a year.
Oh,
right?
That's a huge difference.
Yeah, right. And so that's the difference between whether it's going to cash flow or whether it's going to, not. So it's a great market. The rental is on fire. There's plenty of wholesalers that I could pick up properties from because I'm not, into the skip tracing and, chasing owners down, right? I just want to buy a property that's got good numbers, run the numbers, and then get it cash flowing.
Very cool. Tio, you want to tell us about what you're doing here?
Yeah, so I'm kind of similar to Paul, where I have a W-2 job, and I started investing, like I said, 4 or 5 years ago. Started getting into rentals, and pretty much the past 2 years, I haven't been able to find any deals. So I just started mailing in the cities that I was interested in, and had actual pretty good luck with it. So now I'm just pretty much wholesaling, not really wholesaling. I kind of like having control of it, and then once I have it, I can decide if, between my few exit plans, if I want to go to, just keep it as a rental or flip it to someone or just flip it myself or, whatever it may be.
So you look at all the exit strategies. You're not just specializing in one.
Yeah.
You're looking at a bunch of them.
Yep. Yeah. The main reason I started doing like the direct mail and kind of trying to find deals that way was I couldn't find any more deals for myself to buy. And I was like, well, we got to do something. So
you don't get to quit.
Yep. Started expanding.
So, Paul, how did your journey start? So what made you get interested, and then how did you actually take that first step for your first deal?
You talking to Jeff?
Jeff.
Oh, you said Paul.
Oh, did I say Paul?
Actually, how I got started was, long story short, I retired and I got bored. I was always interested in real estate, but
that's a terrible problem to have.
Yeah.
I retired and I'm like, you know what? I've always had a passion for real estate, so I went into it full time. And the first thing I started doing was I started looking for fix and flips, which most people start out. And at that time, the economy was really starting to take off, so they were getting harder to find. So I actually backed into the first deal I ever did was a wholesale deal. And I really didn't understand wholesaling, didn't really know a whole lot about it, but I pulled it off. We made some money, didn't make a fortune on it, but we made some money. And then once I started doing that more and more, and I did a couple fix and flips and stuff like that, and I really found out what I really liked doing, and that was the wholesaling and hoteling. So my journey went off to that, and that's kind of where it's led me now. And right now, that's mainly all I'm doing. I'm working on a fix and flip right now. When I get that done, I'll be done with them for a while. And I just want to stick with the hoteling and start picking up rentals, and that's kind of the direction I'm going. But that's how it started. I just kind of backed into it on accident, and the wholesaling.
So why did the city of Detroit? There's a lot of people that look at the suburbs and not the city, but you seem to enjoy working in the city of Detroit? Is that where you're finding the deals? Yeah,
I do. I enjoy it a lot. For me personally, a lot of people hesitate going down there. But for me, it's easy. I'm comfortable down there. There's a ton of deals if you look hard enough and you find them. They're easier to sell, in my opinion, to the out-of-state investors, out-of-country investors. You sell to them, and that's what kind of attracted me. And I do like the city. I love the city. I love the homes, and a big thing is a lot of the people down there truly, when they call you, they truly need help. And that's part of the great part of it. You're able to help them people out and, get them out of a lot of jams that they're in. And that's real rewarding.
That would be, and that's something that a lot of people don't realize is when they talk about real estate investors, they're thinking of commercial properties or strip malls or making big developments. They don't think of a real estate investor to help them out because they're about to lose their home to foreclosure or taxes, or they just have to get out. The home's falling kind of apart and they don't have enough money to fix it up.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't realize that a real estate investor can actually help them.
Yeah.
You know, instead, you know, they think of a real estate agent, and they're not. That's not going to work for them in certain situations.
No, it's really not. When you go into some of these houses, like you said, a great point is you go in there and a lot of people don't have the money to do the repairs. Repairs are very expensive. Their house might be falling down and they're elderly. They don't have the money. Or a lot of times you run into, they're trying to move in to their kids because they're getting older or something's happening. And, you know, it's just really, a lot of them are in a desperate situation. And, you know, and that's really what our job is as a wholesaler or as a real estate investor. When you think about it, you're a helper, you're a problem solver. And that is where we make our money, is helping people solve their problem. You know, more problems you solve, more you get rewarded.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Paul, how about you? How did that journey start for you to get into investing?
Yeah, so we actually moved here to Michigan from Georgia. I was working a pretty rough W-2 job, you know, ridiculous hours, and I was just looking for an opportunity to kind of reduce my hours, spend more time with the family, camping and, you know, being outdoors. So online, I had found, I think it was like a Facebook ad for replace your mortgage. So it's basically the idea of you refinance your traditional mortgage into a first lien HELOC. And then because it's simple interest and you can park all of your cash and savings in that HELOC, it reduces the amount of principal, and therefore you're not exposed to as much interest, and you could pay off, you know, any balance, you know, very, very quickly, right? Instead of writing out a 30-year mortgage and you buy a house for you and a house for the bank, right? So hopefully we'll have a chance to talk more on detail about that later. But I signed up, you know, got the education, and I got into this private Facebook group that is subscription only for these this organization that helps you, you know, find a first lien HELOC bank and get you started. And when I got in there, all of these people that now have equity in their homes that they can go use, they can go and buy rental properties. So it was a whole bunch of, you know, real estate investors that were in this Facebook group. And I knew nothing about real estate, you know, up until 2017, 2018. You know, I was just a standard W-2 job, you know, investing in my 401k and just trying to, you know, make it that way. So I started learning more about this and, you know, using the HELOC as a means to buy up rental properties and investments. And that's how I got started. So
you actually just kind of happened to run into it looking in a way to invest your own personal money.
Right, exactly, yeah. But I mean, you know, then, you know, in that Facebook group, you start doing some research and, oh, well, I need to learn more about this real estate thing. And then, of course, there's all kinds of education out there and podcasts. And it was you know, taking the red pill versus the blue pill, right? It's like you realize that there's this world that people don't know about, right? And so it really, that HELOC strategy and learning about real estate's changed our life and how we look about, you know, our future and our retirement.
Very cool. And Tio, how did you get sucked into real estate investing?
Well, I graduated college, got an engineering degree, started working my job, and I sat there and I looked around and I was like, all these people are not happy. They just were not happy. Everyone was stressed out. It was just not a good look. I wasn't happy. So I was like, I got to figure something out. So I started reading books and just digging into what I could do, you know, what kind of business to do or what, you know, try to find something, you know, kind of like a way out almost. So then I stumbled upon real estate investing. It was probably a book, right? I was just reading random entrepreneurial books, and then I stumbled across real estate, and I was like, hey, you know, my dad used to build houses back in the day. I would help them work on houses. So I was like, I like houses. and I pretty much that's how it came about. And I bought my first place, and just a conventional. My first place was in Royal Oak, and most of my friends were buying houses right out of college. I bought a rental, kept living at home, and I bought it, and a few days later had it. After I bought it, had it rented. It didn't need any work, and I was like driving away from there, and I was like, holy crap! Like, these people are paying my mortgage, and I'm making money off this. Like, I need to buy more, right? So that's pretty much how I got started, and it was pretty much that just dislike and I don't know, just not being fulfilled with what you do at work, really.
So is there a point that you would consider quitting the day job, or is this always just going to be a supplemental part of your plan?
You said this isn't going on everywhere, right? So I actually have a goal right now, and it's in 3 months and a few days that I'm going to go full in on real estate.
You could consider that as 2 weeks.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
So I'm very excited.
Good for you.
So,
Yeah.
Yep.
And what about you, Paul?
Yeah, same thing. This isn't going public. No, so my wife, when we moved up here, we had already kind of gotten into real estate, and we were thinking, I don't want to do this W-2 thing right any longer. I make very good money, but I earn every dime of that. And I like the idea of passive income and being able to travel and spend time with my kids during the day. And so we actually have a goal, 31 doors. And then that's our kind of Clayton Morris, freedom number, so to speak. We figured up, cash flow from 31 doors will replace my income. Don't do any math, anybody. But 31 doors, and I can retire at that point from my W-2 job. And we're thinking it's probably going to be, or 2 or 3 years to get there. But, we're actually ahead of our scheduled plan for this year. And if I'm able to pick up a few more doors this year, then we'll be well on our way. So I don't know exactly what it is in the future, but we're definitely on an aggressive path to be able to drop the W-2.
Well, and I know your wife is very supportive, and she actually has an active interest in a different type of real estate investing as well. So you guys are quite the team.
Yeah, we are. And she's been super supportive all along the way. And actually, she went and got a college education when she and I first met. And, the conversation we had is, don't go get a degree if you're not going to go get a W-2 and use it. And she had a W-2 down in Georgia. She wasn't happy with that. And so when we moved up here, she decided, she's like, you know what, I don't want to do a W-2. You're doing this investing. We're doing fine just on your W-2 income. So I actually introduced her. There was some education that we bought up for doing Airbnbs. And it's a unique type of Airbnb. A lot of people feel like, I've got to go buy an asset, maybe fix it up, maybe not, and then furnish it and rent, list it on Airbnb. And you don't have to do that. You don't have to carry assets to do that. You can go rent it like anybody would rent a property, and then you can list on Airbnb, and as long as there's some margin there, you can, make money there. So that's what we did. And like you said, she's been super supportive, and it's been quite an education from that side of the business as well.
When I heard her strategy for the Airbnbs, it was amazing because she actually took it and tweaked it to really make it work. So, which is awesome.
Yep.
You know what the best part of that is?
What's that?
That we met at REIA or wherever we met, and now we're in business together because I had a house that was coming up for rent. Bree's like, hey, I do this. I'm like, let's try it.
Yeah.
And
There you go.
so...
Well, and I guess that speaks volumes to networking and getting to these groups and making it happen, making it work, and sharing and educating and helping not only your own business grow, but you're actually able to help others.
Yep, absolutely.
And I know that was a really important part to Jeff, is to help people out. So keys for success. What are things that you would tell people to be prepared for, or to make sure that they have before they really start jumping into real estate investing?
Well, I'll tell you what, the really key that you got to have for if you want to jump into real estate investing is you just need to have some passion and really understand that you got to put work into it. This isn't HGTV. It's real. You got to put some work into it to make it happen, to make your dreams, like, you know, the people across from us right here, you know, they've got a goal, and to make that goal, you've got to reach for it. You got to push for it, and that's all part of it. So, you know, really the biggest thing I see in people is just get out there, make it happen, work at it, and be consistent. And that's the biggest thing in real estate investing. Just be consistent and have a passion, and you will have a passion, because once you get going, you'll find, oh, this does work, and oh, I can make my dreams come true. I can make this really happen.
Yeah, Paul?
Yeah, I've mentioned it several times. I think the biggest thing that people try to jump into this is they try to jump in it without education. And from when I learned about real estate to when I finally bought my first property, it was probably 6 months, right? And I consumed as much education as I could. And there is plenty of free education. This podcast itself is an education. And I encourage everybody to consume. There's so much free information out there. Do not drop 20 grand with a guru, right, and go to these seminars, because that 20 grand you could put down on a rental. And instead of, you know, it going to the guru's pocket, it's going to cash flow for you, right? So I really encourage everybody to go out and get the education. But once you get the education, don't try to avoid this analysis paralysis. You got to pull the trigger, right? And so many people, you know, they educate and they educate and they educate, and they just cannot pull the trigger. And I'll admit, you know, I've got a W-2 job, so I'm comfortable where I'm at, so I can appreciate for people that may not be in the same situation how difficult it is to pull the trigger. But you got to go. And I think this is my own experience. You know, your Royal Oak property. Once you do it the first, it gets easier from there on out, right? But you just got to get started. You got to pull the trigger.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. That's the biggest thing, because we see success zombies, right? They go and they pretty much buy every program, buy all that stuff, and they just study it, but they don't do anything with it. You know, it's not serving them. Yeah. And sometimes too much knowledge is, you don't need that much. You know, you just learn the basics. That's what I did. Like when I first started doing it, I didn't even know there were REIAs, podcasts, anything. Like I read a few books and then like Googled some stuff, and I was like, all right, well, let's try it. It was like as simple as, okay, this is how much a house is selling for. Like I didn't use calculators. I didn't use like any of that. I Googled how much, or I went on Zillow, I think, and I was like, okay, houses are selling for X amount and they're renting for this amount. So I was like, I ran the numbers and I'm like, okay, so I'll make, this much money. Let's do it, right? So then I started looking for a house, found it, bought it, rented it, and it worked. And I was like, let's keep doing this. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you when the gurus come to town, my phones here at the title company are ringing off the hook, and they're all calling and, do you work with investors? And they want to know, and then usually nothing happens.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, you got to kind of take it and run with it. If you're going to, especially if you're going to invest the money into going to a program, I mean, you really need to, like you said, be able to pull the trigger. Yeah. I know people that have done 60 grand plus, and still haven't done a deal yet. Oh, and that 60 grand, how many times could they have bought a Detroit house?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, they could have been making some money by now.
Yeah,
what is that, 6 properties down there?
It could very well be. It could very well be.
Yeah. That's the crazy. So this year I went to 10X, and it's like this big event in Miami, and I sat next to people that, it's pretty much like a REIA, right? Someone goes up there and sells you something, but there it's like everyone that goes on stage sells you something. So I had people that were sitting next to me that were buying every single thing. I was like, how do you have this much money? Like, how big is your credit line that you can buy all these programs? And how are you even going to apply it's like, get one thing, learn it, and apply it. That's all it takes,
Yeah,
focus, right? You got to have focus, I'd love to be a wholesaler, but, I'm going to be a buy and hold investor.
Yeah.
And even down to the 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,000 square foot, that's my bread and butter. I'm not going to buy things that aren't anything different than that, right? Because you start getting broader and broader and broader, and you lose your focus. and you end up being a jack of all trades and a master of none.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which happens to a lot of people in this
Yeah.
business if you look at it. They spread too wide, and that's what I was talking about. Once you do it, look at everything, dabble, and then you know what? Pick your niche.
Yeah.
And that's what you did, and that's what you're doing, and that's what makes it great. There's plenty of niches. Pick the one that you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
to go along with that, once you get good at like buying holds, right? So I have buying holds, and then you get good with it. You set up a process, right? Like now I have a process where I can almost hire someone and give them my binder and be like, this is how you run all of this. So every situation that comes up, look in the binder, and that's how it's handled.
Yep.
So at that point, once you're really good at you having all your processes for one, then you can start branching out and doing the other thing, because the other one's second
Scale
nature.
the business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think that's very good, and I think part of it too is your time constraints. You know, if it's a personality fit, some people want to be a landlord. Some people, would rather just, they're more handy and they want to do the fix and flip, or family and construction. I mean, everybody's situation is different, and there's a lot of different ways you can invest. The other thing I wanted to touch on with the gurus was a lot of times they're up there and they're telling you, how great it is, and they're telling you how to do it. But different states have different rules. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how different Indiana is from Michigan's rules, but I can tell you plenty of times that people have called us and we have to tell them it doesn't work that way here. And they just spent a lot of money to make their plan, and they're going to have to take that to a different state to be able to apply it.
Yeah.
So I mean, and it's knowing your market as well. It's different everywhere.
Yeah.
That's why I've been reluctant to break into the Michigan market. It's like, I grew up in Indiana, so I know Indiana. I'm comfortable with Indiana. I'm lucky that, where I grew up is a good place to invest. But I know people, and I'm getting familiar with the local laws and the rules there. You start breaking into these other markets, you've got to master where you're at first, and then decide, if I'm going to go to Michigan, I need to understand Michigan and the demographics in the area, and knowing that the taxes are a lot higher in Michigan, so the numbers are going to run a lot differently.
Yeah,
Well,
that's true.
And it's just the area, like the actual city that you invest in, right?
Yeah.
Like the cities that I invest in, I know as soon as I see a house, what it's worth, what I can pay for. It's just automatic. I don't even have to do any research, right? It's probably same with you, Jeff, in Detroit,
that's what
almost.
gives you
But
that's what gives you the competitive advantage
Right.
over other investors. Once you know your backyard,
yep,
what can I pay for that house? How much can I get out of it on rent? Is the city going to ding me for everything? Like you're saying, you got to know the city. You got to know your
Right.
area.
Mm-hmm.
Like Paul was saying, you come here compared to Indiana, and it's a whole different world.
Yeah,
and
it is.
here, like you go to Royal Oak, or you go to Detroit, or you go to Warren, each
Every
one's
one
got
of
their
those-
own little rules.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody's got their own little game going.
Yep.
Each one of the municipalities has their own structure, how they're going to run it.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to figure them out, because that can cost you a lot of money and set you back.
Yep.
And that's a bad part.
Well, and if you're going to be like a buy and hold guy, some of our cities here have multiple school districts.
yeah.
So I
Make
mean,
sure you're in the right one, right?
yeah, I mean, if you're going to be across the street, you might be in a totally different district.
Right.
So I mean, and
Yeah,
that,
because you'll see a house and it's like, wow, this one's like 30 grand off on the MLS. Why is it so cheap? And then you buy it and it's like, and then you don't pay attention to the school district, and it's like Warren instead of Troy, and it's like, well, I guess the rent's like way lower now, right?
Like, oh, let me redo this one.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, I mean, the people that are going to be interested as a tenant, your rent's going to go down.
Right.
I mean, they're just not going
Yeah,
to.
because they're looking at schools, most of the time they have kids, and yeah, absolutely. And to go off the guru stuff, like, not to like knock them like 100%, I still think there's value. So I started doing like my direct mail. I went to like this guru thing on a Saturday. It was like a full day thing of selling. And what pretty much happened was she ended up giving us the letter, the exact letter that she used, and she gave us a lot of info. And I took good notes, and obviously she was selling her $2,000 or $3,000 program. And then what I ended up doing, I took her letter, I typed it up, I followed her instructions, that everything she gave us for free, and that is how I got my first deal. So I didn't even have to go and go to her program thing. I just sat there and paid attention and took notes and applied it here. And I mean, Google, like, I don't even understand how there are
these gurus. Google is like the number one guru, right? Like between Google and YouTube and everything, there's so much free information out there. You can find anything.
Yeah.
If you're going to go see a speaker, my favorite speakers are the ones that actually give you actionable items that you can leave with and apply. And it's not just motivational and pumping you up and you feel really good and you leave and then you're like, what do I do?
Flashy cars.
Yeah, I made this much money, so can you.
And up your credit card limits, you can buy the program. They always hit you with that one.
Yeah. No, for the Airbnb stuff, we paid a few $1,000s for that education. And what was awesome, he had a website with videos, and every video was, this is what you're going to do next. This is what you're going to do next. Don't watch the next video until you've done these things, right? And then you go to the next one. Okay, now I want you to go do this. And we set up our LLC. We got everything set up. We had a landlord letter. He gave us a landlord letter to talk to the landlords about using their property for Airbnb. And you could download that stuff. Now go talk to the landlord. Now find a property. It's so it was, I think, well worth its weight in gold. And it was just a few $1,000s for the program, right? So I don't know if I'd call it a guru or not, but that's the kind of education I think is worth it, right? Because we could probably come up with our own landlord letter, trial and error, and but we were able to quickly take those steps, implement it, go get a property, and start making making the money off of that.
Like I said, if they can give you those actionable items that make your process work. That's well worth it. I mean, and it's a good part of the education. The other education, and I know you guys have already talked about it a bit, but the REIAs, the other real estate investor groups, there's little mastermind groups around here. I mean, there's probably about 6 that I try to hit every month. And it's where I meet good people, and that's where you hear all these great stories. And there are some newbies that are coming to those and they're looking for information, but there's a lot of experienced people like you guys that are willing to share your information, your experiences, that what you have found, your tips and tricks, and I know it's very much appreciated.
Well, and a lot of people miss that when they're doing this. If you go to the REIAs and you go to the meetups and you get around people, one is you're going to get an education. 2 is you're going to see who the true players are in the area. And you might just get lucky if you're doing what you should do, and you could get a mentor out of it.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing for me, like I've talked about before to other people, was last year, 85% of all the money I made last year was from networking. Working, doing deals with other people. Where did I meet them? At the meetup groups, at the REIA groups. That's where I've met all the people that I'm doing business with. And literally 85% of my money last year come from that. So to me personally, I can't stress enough the importance of networking, the importance of working with people, and just getting around like-minded people. And next thing you know, it just starts happening for you. And find a mentor. I'm huge on finding mentors. If you get a mentor, they steer you right. I've had mentors, and I'll admit I've paid for mentors, and I've had free mentors. I went both routes, and I've got great value. Matter of fact, I met Tio at the first mentor I ever had.
Yeah, I think that is where the first time.
Yeah, that's the first time we'd ever met, was at his meetups.
Yep, another meetup.
Yeah, another meetup, and he become a mentor of mine. And then from that, it spawned off to another mentor at another meetup, and it's just flowed into that. And literally everybody I've met in this business has been from them.
Yeah, and people don't realize this when they first get into real estate. And I think you see it a few on podcasts and stuff, but networking, real estate truly is a networking and a people business, right? Especially, wholesaling, going and sitting in living rooms and, trying to help them out, understanding their story. But even a buy and hold investor like myself, networking with people and, who knows the area if you're investing out of state. I spend a lot of time on the phone with people out of state, eyes and ears, people that I can trust, building relationships. So it truly is a networking and people business. And you put a lot of your time and energy into meeting as many people as possible. I go to the REIAs. Most of you I met at the REIAs there in Macomb, and even though I don't invest here in Michigan, our relationships here have been very, very valuable, and I've learned a lot from it, right? Even though I don't invest in this area.
Yeah, it's totally invaluable. And, you know, I'd see Erika. She goes to all of them like I do. I go to a whole bunch. She goes to a whole bunch. And, you know, you get to see the same people, too. So, you know, them people are seriously taking action. Yeah. Because usually the ones that aren't, they're in and out in 6 months. You see them, then they're gone. You never see them again. But you get to start seeing people over and over. Then you know, okay, them are people that are doing business, doing action. That's who you want to be around.
Yep.
Well, and a lot of the groups, the networking groups, and it's not just other investors. I mean, you can find money sources there. You can find contractors there. You can get referrals to those types of people there as well. So, I mean, it's a great place to go for all aspects of your business.
Yeah, everything, absolutely everything.
Yeah, truly is. That's how I found her, was through it.
Right.
How she does all my deals here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And then, you know, as far as our group goes, I mean, we are founding members, so we're kind of the core of the group. So what are you hoping to get out of our group, and then what are you able to bring to our group? What can people count on you for?
Want me to
Okay.
take that, Jeff? Or?
Take it. You go ahead. You take that.
Well, so I was very, very honored that I was reached out and asked to be a founding member. I just lost some audio in my. Oh, there I am. Okay, sorry. But I'm very honored to be asked to be a founding member for the group, and you know, I really want the opportunity to further network, especially when we have more people join the group. We have an opportunity to talk with new investors, people that maybe aren't comfortable going to REIAs quite yet, and sharing free information, networking. A lot of those people, you know, we could do deals with, or, you know, business with in the future. But I really believe, and I mentioned this when I was asked, is, you know, a attitude of abundance, right? Whatever you give out will come back to you, right? And so for me, being a part of this group, my opportunity to share what I've learned, so that other people don't make the same mistakes, and help others to be successful. That's definitely a big part of being a part of this group.
Very good. Tio?
My turn?
Yeah.
It'd probably be the same thing. Pretty much share what I've learned so far. And, I mean, you never know who you're going to meet, right? You know, there's a lot of people that I've met at REIAs that are like, so, you know, how can I help you? And I'm like, well, I'm looking for places in this area. If you find something, you know who to call. And if it's something that I'm not interested in, then I can, you know, point you in the right direction to someone that could help you with it. So.
Good. Well, I'll tell you, when I was approached about joining this group, we started talking about it, and it was all about changing how things are done around here, making it more of a friendly community, making it more of a working together community instead of always fighting against one another. The first thing that was talked to me about was, let's change it and make it where everybody wants to work together. Because there's plenty of deals out there. If we were all millionaires, we couldn't buy all the deals. Let's be real. But everybody has a scarce mindset like you were talking about. And they're like, look, we want to change this. We want to make a group where everybody feels welcome. Nobody's talking bad to anybody. Everybody's wanting to help one another. And I'll tell you what, when they come to us, and Dylan actually come to me the first time and started talking, and I talked to Erika about it, and it just really made sense what they wanted to do. And for me, that's a big part, is the giving back, making it where everybody feels happy, everybody feels comfortable. And that's just what I want. I want to make it where people make money together, because I know how important it is. You know, I know myself personally.
Well, I mean, we all have our businesses, and we all want to be successful, but it really is. I mean, I can't be successful by myself. It's really a whole collaboration of people and team and efforts and networking. And I like to share that back. I go to several conferences every year too. I bring that back. If it's something that would help my clients, I share it with them. Same thing with my team. So we are really trying to focus on, with this group, is being positive, being supportive, a safe place for people to come and ask questions and actually get real help. So, I mean, part of our mantra, I guess, is to share the love all around. So key advice, maybe, is there one thing that you could tell a brand new investor that would make a big difference or an impact? Is there something that somebody had told you or shared with you, whether it's an idea or if it was more of a confidence thing, or where to look?
Mine's kind of, I think the biggest thing with any business or anything you do in life, it's your mindset. And it's like what you guys saying, if you guys have that abundance mindset, that just seeing how big the world is, seeing how many people are in the world and how much opportunity there is in the world, and not just because you grew up a certain way and, you know, maybe it wasn't like the best way, that doesn't mean you can't work yourself up to, you know, live like the 1% or, you know, whatever your goals are. But I think it all comes down to your mindset, and I think that's the most important thing with anything.
Oh, I think that's very true. And, you know, there's books that you read, and a lot of them, it's just about changing the way you think, changing the way you look at things. If you can just tweak that question another 5%, you know, how is that going to change your outcome?
Yeah, because I've read a lot of books on like self-development and all that stuff, and at the end of the day, every single one of those books, if you were to summarize every self-development book, it's talking about mindset. So, you know, I mean, like, that's the only thing it's talking about is getting, and like, I also like the law of attraction, right? Like getting the negative those that everyone around you tells you, like, oh, that's not going to work, that economy's going to crash. Like getting all those limiting beliefs, getting those out of your mind, you know, that I think is what getting to success is.
Yeah, avoiding the naysayers, right? Surrounding yourself. That's why REIAs and groups like this are so important. I probably wouldn't have gotten involved in real estate if I wouldn't have been involved in this private Facebook group for the HELOC. There's all of these people, like literally thousands of people that are doing this. So this is not some niche off the wall, you know, investment idea. That, you know, this is real, and it's not a gimmick or a scam or anything like that. So surrounding yourself with people that have done this before, they understand it, and can give you positive energy. That's very, very important, because I don't know about all your families, but, you know, when I tell my family, oh, I'm a real estate investor, oh, I wouldn't do that. Or, you know, I heard so-and-so had rentals and, you know, in this place, and, you know, tenants came in and just completely trashed them. I was like, okay, you know, that can happen, right? But some of the podcasts that I'd listen to, you know, they say no problem in real estate can't be solved, right? And how that's positive energy, right? It's like, yeah, you know, this is a job. It's not going to be easy. When they say passive income, okay, I mean, from a tax perspective, but it's work. You know, you got to put your back into it. It's hustle, right? Especially for us W-2 folks. You know, we really have to do it on the side and put a lot of effort into it.
Yeah, but what you were saying is where you take your advice from. That is so important, because like the people that we have in our lives that aren't in real estate or aren't in whatever business we want to be in, those people are probably not in that business, right? So why would you take your advice from that person? It makes no sense, right? Go ask a person that's doing it and see what they say, and their response is probably going to be 110% different than, you know, the person that's not doing it. That's the biggest thing, because I had the same thing, right? Family and friends and everyone's like, oh, you know, don't do that. That's dangerous. They're going to steal everything. All your appliances are going to be gone. There's going to be holes in all the walls. And then I was like, so how many rentals do you guys have? They're like, none. I'm like, okay. And then you talk to people that have them, and they're like, yeah, this is awesome. You know,
it's all about that mindset. It truly is. And that's what it is. It's like you guys are saying, it's mindset. When I first got into this, an old guy, Tommy Rogers, down in South Carolina, he said something. He's like, look, you can do this. He said, you just got to decide if you want to do it. And really, that's what it comes down to. Like you guys keep saying, and everybody that says it that's really into this, it's mindset. And that's what people coming into this really need to understand is it's all in your mind. I don't care if you're rich, if you're poor, if you're college educated, if you're a high school dropout. You can do this. Anybody can do this business. You just got to decide if you want to do this business. Get to that mental state and do it. And that is the biggest thing with this. Tell yourself you want to do it if you want to do it. Then have yourself do it. Make yourself do it.
And, that positive reinforcement, you're going to fail.
Oh, yes.
Right? You're not going to get into this and it's just going to be, an easy walk. You're going to get in it and you're going to fail. And how important is that positive reinforcement? Okay, pick yourself up, go get it again, right? And I think even people that try and fail, right? How many, if you could just pull the trigger and then you fail and then, okay, this is not for me, right? You surround yourself at REIAs and, in these groups and say, hey, get back up, dust yourself off and go after it again, right? How many times, in the short year that I've been investing, we've had our ups and downs, right? Even with the Airbnb, we've had our ups and downs. And you just got to, that mindset and surrounding yourself with people that encourage you, got to keep going and learn from your failures and react and improve.
And keep going. I hate to say it. It's, you're not going to go out and pick out pretty tiles and work 4 hours a day and make it at this.
Yeah.
Have the mindset that you got to put some work in, like you said, and put yourself around people.
Yeah.
Positive people that are going to help you get there.
Yeah. Not
try to get something out of you. They're going to truly and honestly help you try to get there, just to try to help you. And your mind will turn. It does, a 360. It's like, boom. Okay, I got this.
How's that for golden nuggets? Yeah?
How about that?
Well, and I can tell you my secret. With real estate investors, they will always find a way to invest in real estate.
Yeah.
I don't care what the market is. I don't care if it's great, if it's not. They will find a way.
Adapt and overcome.
And for the last 15 years where I've been in investing, that's all I see. And there's some people that, rode the wave and up and down, and there were times where it wasn't great, but they still found a way and they survived and they kept going. And it's amazing how creative real estate investors can be. They figure out a way to make that deal happen and how to make it work for them, and they continue to make their money.
What's amazing to me when I listen to these podcasts, these guys that they rode that wave and they hit rock bottom and they lost everything. And then, here I am just now getting into it, hearing how they came out of it. They hit rock bottom, lost everything, and then they built it right back up again. It's like
10
what
times stronger, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. What kind of a mindset does it take you to lose everything and then build it right back up again? Yeah. They didn't do it by themselves, right? They had strong spouses, they had a strong network, and they did not give up. Adapt and overcome.
Yeah, you can take their money, but you can't take their knowledge.
Right, exactly. And they learned. Hopefully, they learned a lot from that.
Right.
Huge failure, right?
Because there's no such thing as failure, right? Just look at it as education. Every time something goes wrong, you just learn a new thing. Whatever, if it costs you 10, 20, 30 grand, that's just what it costs to learn that lesson, right? Yeah. But guarantee you won't do that.
It's better than paying a guru the 10, 20
right, yeah, exactly.
You're going to get a better education.
Yeah, you'll remember that for sure.
You're going to remember that.
Way better.
Yeah. And a lot of us, have just been in a little bit. Us three sitting here. Erika's been in this game for a while, and like Dylan, he's been in it a long time. But for us guys, that's been in it while the times are good. Yeah. It's a great time. Mm-hmm. But we've learned from some of the older guys. I shouldn't say older guys, but some of the guys that have been around longer. Wisdom people. We can learn from them. Mm-hmm. How do you handle this? And listen to them and just take it from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can tell everyone that failed when the economy tanked why they failed, right? They were just over-leveraged. Yeah. So if you can take their lessons, that's, again, Google and YouTube and all that. Take everyone's lessons. You can watch videos and they'll tell you why they failed. Yeah. So just don't do that, and you'll have that portion covered.
Yeah.
But what is great about us, though, at our time is we can actually meet these guys. We all meet them at REIAs. We all hang out with them and different stuff. The people that went through that failure that are still there, it's like, okay, he survived. He might have been living in his car for a minute, but he got out and he's got a house again, It's like, okay, he made it. And you look at it and all the guys and girls in it that was in there at that point, that's people I look to too. You know, I try to get inspiration from them and little nuggets from them.
Yeah.
You know, what would you do on this? Because they pretty much went through it all. They've lost it. They've had it, lost it, had it again. Yeah. What did you do in this situation? Don't be afraid to ask them.
Yeah.
Ask them all the time.
Everyone likes to talk about real estate, right? So ask them something about real estate. They'll
They'll
talk your ear
all
off,
day. Yeah,
right?
Talk all day, won't they?
That's where they're there.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are all experts in your own niche, in your own field, and I know we talk about focusing on one type of and kind of sticking with it, but there's nothing wrong with partnering on a different deal or learning something new. And I mean, Airbnb is a fairly new concept in the investment portion, especially here in Michigan. Yeah. So, I mean, it's awesome. You know, I mean, there's always something new to learn.
That is great stuff. I mean, and that's Paul and them. I've been talking about that Airbnb because it is another avenue and an angle that I'm now ready to take. And, you know, we've talked about that in the past, and that's something that I'm diligently trying to learn because I'm like, oh, this might even be better than rentals because you don't have the hassles. And, you know, it's like, okay, like you said, don't close your eyes, get your niche, but always look for something else if you've got it.
No, I found it really interesting, especially when you started looking at the different apps and things that you could use. And because, I mean, Airbnb, it sounds tough, you know, I mean, because it's a constant turnover. But all the apps to keep it going and organized, and it's amazing, really, you know, how you make that work. So,
yeah, it is.
Is there any last words we want to go out with? Anything that people can really, you know, you want people to call you or reach out to you for? Are you looking for anything?
Actually, what I'm looking for is I'm looking to help more people. That's all I'm looking for. If anybody has any questions about Detroit or any kind of hoteling or wholesaling, any of that kind of stuff, just reach out to me anytime. And, you know, you can get through me through Facebook, Jeff Shipp. I got a website, jeffshipp.com. It's SHIPP. Just get a hold of me, anything you need. I'm going tomorrow for a young couple that I actually met at the Macomb REIA. They got their first deal under contract. They're getting it right now. I've been kind of helping them go through that. And we're going to sit down tomorrow and go through the final paperwork. And that's really what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to help people, and we'll eventually, you know, hopefully we'll do business together. Yep. That's how I look at it.
Yep. No, I'm just glad to be here. Like Jeff said, you know, I'm the reason why I'm here. I want to help other people. I want to be part of that positive energy, encourage people. So you can get me on Facebook. I'm, you know, part of the group, and you know, I don't have a website yet, but I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. So, and then Macomb REIA, we, you know, hope everybody goes to the Macomb REIA and networks, and you'll probably run into me there as well.
And so if people want to reach out to you, I mean, are they free to ask you questions about the Airbnb and about remote landlording and remote investing?
Absolutely. Hit me up. Yep.
Awesome. Tio?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys pretty much covered everything. If anyone needs any help with anything, wholesaling, direct mail, marketing, whatever, rentals, or what processes to have in place or any of that stuff, yeah, anytime I can be reached. Like I said, I'm part of a group, Facebook group, so anyone can feel free and reach out anytime.
Awesome. Well, everyone, thank you so much for coming out and being a part of our roundtable and sharing the love with everybody and some education and about your journeys and your golden nuggets. We certainly appreciate it. So we'll see you next time on the Michigan Real Estate Investor Network Roundtable Podcast.
You've been listening to the Michigan Real Estate Investor Network podcast. Let's call it the network. To subscribe to the show, go to www.michiganreinetwork.com, where you can have the show sent right to your inbox. Subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast app. If you'd like to be on a future show, there's a link on the site to submit your info. The network is 100% focused on the Michigan real estate investing community. Whether you're brand new or a grizzled vet, we want you to be a part and share the love.